Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. I didn't post a video last week, full length video. My wife's grandmother passed away, and she lived a long life. She was 96 years old, passed away. So definitely, I mean, close to 100. And it wasn't something that was all of a sudden. It was she had dementia, and she was already on hospice. So you know, yeah, she developed dementia very later in life, and all of a sudden, it just seemed to really, uh, it was like she was fine and recognizing people, but then all of a sudden, in the last 2 years, something happened, and it was just a steady decline. But, so, everybody was already kind of prepped, but you still never really prep for when someone leaves, someone that's been here nearly 100 years. Um, and her husband, he's 98. He's still alive. He's 98, so almost 2 years from there. And so the family's just been getting together, and, I think that's the best part, is when families just are able to get together and, just support each other just by being there, even talking about your memories, hanging out. So, that's not what this video is about. So, but I already have the script, everything written. I did everything for this video, and I just didn't get around. I just didn't have a chance to actually film it until today. And today for me, it's Monday for me. So, let's go ahead and get this going here. Um, in many of my previous episodes, I've always talked a lot about belief, about religion, faith, doubt, and how politics has started to look a lot like religion. Ideologies acting like doctrine, political tribes, defending beliefs like the sacred texts, like Ten Commandments. But something else has been happening, in our world, in our modern world, in this modern era that we're living in. And, it just feels like we're living in a permanent state of crisis, the crisis needs. Every year, it seems like something. I've seen that meme where, I don't know if you've seen it. I see it on Instagram from time to time. A group of aliens are all kind of huddled together, and the title is how does it go? It goes oh, we're next. It says a bad word, but it says, oh, we're next as the next crisis there for humanity. Every day it just seems like there's something new. War. The war, the Ukrainian war is still going on right now. I talked about this before. How I don't know how other countries work, but in the United States, it's can declare war. So we're constantly fighting all these little battles everywhere, and you keep hearing about more little battles springing up here and there. And what about the ones that we aren't even talking about? The ones that aren't even making the news. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of wars or battles or things happening that we're not even hearing about. We're hearing a lot about political chaos, economic uncertainty. I mean, how many times I can't tell you how many times I've heard we're in a recession. We're out of a recession. We're going into a recession. Every year at the end of the year, it's like, oh, look out for that next year. We're going into a recession. And it's like, when is it coming? Is it here? Are we in it? Are we not in it? Who's going to tell us? Technology disrupting everything. I mean, we're hearing a lot about AI right now. AI is in everything. It's in every, it's not just, technology, Silicon Valley. It's going into everything. We're seeing it all the way down to fast food. How you take your order at Taco Bell or something. But it's made me start to wonder, is the world actually more unstable today? Or are we living in something new, an age of endless crisis? Throughout human history, religion has helped people make sense of uncertainty. When your crops failed, it was what happened. Who didn't you make a sacrifice to? When war started, how many stories in the Bible have we read where God has directed a certain individual to lead their armies to this place? This is the people that you're going to make war with, and this is what you need to do to win. When disasters happen, whether the earthquakes, fires, volcanoes, volcanoes, huge, and I think in many cultures, there was a god that controlled the volcanoes. People interpreted all those events through a religious lens. God was testing people. God was guiding. Gods were gods. Was guiding history. That God had a plan. Religion gave people a framework for all the chaos that occurred. It answered questions like, why is suffering? Why didn't I get a good crop? Why is there famine right now? What does it all mean? And what you need to do what you have to do about it. Make a sacrifice. Even if people didn't understand the world, they believed it had order and a purpose. And today, we live in a very, very different world. Religion still is there. Religion's still there, but society no longer shares like this single belief. We're very much spread out. And, we've taken our humanity has taken different beliefs all across the world and, no longer a single belief anymore. Nowadays, I've talked about this. We have political ideologies. There are cultural movements, social narratives, and even online communities. You can just go down the rabbit hole on Instagram, on TikTok, or anything. What about all the flat earthers that are out there? What's up with that? Um, Everyone has their own interpretation of reality now, but without a shared framework to interpret events, every crisis starts to feel like proof that the world is falling apart. There's no longer a common story explaining what's happening. Everybody has their own idea as to what's going on, their own opinion as to what's going on. I talked about something in previous episodes. I talked about something interesting. Ideology becoming doctrine. Once that happens, political beliefs start behaving like religion. People defend them emotionally. They're divided into tribes. People believe they're fighting good versus evil. Now combine that with all the constant, headlines of crisis, with war, with economic collapse, political chaos, and suddenly ideology becomes something way more powerful. And it becomes a lens for interpreting the end of the world. You know, in religion once had something called, like apocalyptic thinking, the belief that the world was, uh, or is approaching some kind of final, conflict, some sort of reckoning. And, you see versions of that same thinking today, but instead of religion predicting the end, now you hear it everywhere. The economy is about to collapse. Like I said, democracy is going to collapse. Civilization is going to collapse. Technology, AI is going to destroy humanity. I mean, how many reels or TikToks have you seen where AI is now becoming the Terminator? Every ideology predicts disaster if the other side wins. Crisis just becomes a permanent story. When people live inside constant crisis narrative, it shapes how they see everything. Every headline confirms their fears. Every event becomes the evidence that their worldview is correct. And the modern media only fuels this, not necessarily because of ideology, but because it wants the attention. Modern media, social media, it wants your attention. Attention drives that algorithm. Um, maybe, the world is complicated right now, but, maybe something deeper is happening. As traditional belief systems start to decline, people are still searching for meaning. They still want answers to big questions. Why is this happening? What does it mean? What side should I even be on? Religion was once the answer for all those. Now politics and ideology try to fill that space, that void. And when belief systems collide in an age of constant information, it creates something that we're all feeling today. Just an age of it's like endless, never ending, one crisis after another. We can never have just a year of, uh, many people think, it started with the pandemic, but it was there before. It was there before that. And, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was 9/11 when that occurred. Maybe that's, I don't know. But either way, maybe it's just information overload. There's just so much information being fed to us. Maybe this has all been there this whole time, but now because we're constantly being fed this information, this is how it now feels as the new reality. But that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And back to our regularly scheduled program. So hopefully do at least one video a week, maybe 2 videos a week. And thanks for watching. I'm gonna post shorts of all the. I clip all these videos, so just short little snippets of the main video, and I'll post them as shorts. And they seem to get a lot more attention than some full length videos. And I would like these full length videos to get attention as well too. We're all doing this for the views, for the algorithm. Thanks for watching.